that would love to work with you to help you make sure your business is successful through these difficult times. And we provide assistance in areas from market research, so understanding your competitors, understanding your supply chain, to financial forecasting, operations, business planning, loan packaging, and our services are available at no cost. We are supported by the Small Business Administration, a federal program. When Kathy Kleindorfer and I were looking at program topics, we also support programs like this one. Kathy, who is a trusted advisor of mine and also will be facilitating the conversation today, we're talking about topics we had no idea, I think, and Kathy, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, how important this topic would be. It came up during the beginning of COVID-19. And we were talking about small businesses that are comprised of people that have to come in, that are taking care of teams of people. And Kathy brought up this idea of this very important subject. I think just because of the events in the past several weeks, this has become increasingly important that we address this topic. So I'd like to thank Kathy, especially for making the suggestion that we explore this. Thank you for spending your time today. And Lynn and David and Shannon, thank you for being here to share your thoughts and your input to help us as we navigate through this difficult time. So Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you and we'll get started.
Great. Thank you, Kim. And so again, resilience had been gaining lots of popularity in recent years, even before the pandemic, but even it's even more important at this point in time. And just simply stated, resilience is the ability of people have to bounce back after bad things happen. So if you just want the simplest definition, that's probably a good one. We know that some people are naturally more resilient than others. But the really exciting thing that's emerging from all the research is that you can learn to be more resilient. And a lot of the techniques for becoming resilient are very simple and easy to use day to day. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And our speakers are going to give you lots of ideas that we hope you'll be able to use for yourself, for your work teams, and for your families. So without further ado, I'm going to have the speakers introduce themselves very briefly. They're going to share their name, the organization that they lead, and one thing they've learned from the pandemic. So Lynn, let me start with you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lynn Kyle, and I'm the Executive Director of Lampion Center, Counseling Center here in Evansville. Gosh, trying to come up with one thing to say that you've learned. For me, I think it's how important it is that the variety of people we have in the mix with us. In the workplace especially, you know, we've got the planners and the organizers and the creative people and the young ones and the older ones, the anxious ones, the ones that are really kind of on that a little crispier about the whole thing that's going on. But all of those together really have made, for me and us here, a really rich mix, the right blend of how to move forward in the best ways that I don't think we would have been in the same place if we didn't have all of them sharing their thoughts.
Great, thank you. Shannon?
Hi, I'm Shannon Woolsey. I own Shannon Aleksandr Salon and Spa on Virginia Street on the east side. We have a staff of 48 people that work for us. The biggest thing I think we've learned during this pandemic was a good culture and communication with our team. So we had a lot of Zoom meetings and a whole lot of Facebook meetings and just really tried to keep everybody positive and motivated and ready to come back.
Yeah, good. And David?
Hey, good morning. David Smith, Superintendent of the EVSC. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned during this pandemic is that it's not what we're doing that keeps me up at night. It's probably what we're not doing that keeps me up. Because, you know, we really don't know what we don't know. So I think, you know, we have learned that we have to be an incredibly nimble organization to address the emergent changes that come our way.
Great, great. Lynn, first question to you. The pandemic has literally changed the world as we knew it, creating uncertainty about the future. What impact does this have on people's well-being?
You know, we're all business owners or business leaders, and I think the resilience that we have every day is when something hits us, we're pretty used to reacting to that well and trying to get our plan and move forward. Your well-being, that sense of well-being and that sense of being in control, because we all probably like to feel like we're kind of in control of what's going on, that really gets rocked when every aspect of our world is hit all at the same time. And the word unprecedented is kind of, it's unprecedented how much we're hearing that, but really you don't have things hit you at home and it's with school, with your kids, with elders, with everybody all at one time. With pay, how are you going to make payroll? What are you going to do? How are you going to plan? So I think that really affects everybody's well-being, because it is being rocked from so much. There's no safety zone at the moment for people. So how to try to frame that in a way that helps people move forward well. And I think one thing is just really acknowledging what it is. I mean, the pandemic is a disruptor. Everything around it, nationally, internationally, what we do in our leisure time, the ability to travel. I know a bunch of us are probably travelers. We can't do that either. We can't do the things that we normally do to help ourselves. So being able to just acknowledge that that's terribly disruptive on every aspect of our lives, and then knowing that all the reactions that we're having, that feeling that our well-being is kind of being hit from different angles, that is really normal. So normalizing that for ourselves and also for the people that are around us, it doesn't seem like something as simple as that would make that much difference, but it really does. It's like, these are really, really tough and stressful times from every angle. And knowing that is why our well-being feels so rocked. And then how to move forward from that. So acknowledging it, trying to communicate and support one another in that time, knowing that this is what it is. Celebrating achievements that you have along the way, because successes, some days, I don't know about you all, but some days the success was I scored paper towels when I went to Schnucks. I mean, who would think that would be a big thing in my day? Or for us at Lampion Center, we went and helped an apartment complex manager that was so worried about her team. I mean, it was a huge success in the day to really help somebody through something. So we need to remember to acknowledge that. It's pretty abnormal. It's very abnormal, and we can do a lot of things about it. And one thing someone mentioned to me, I heard the other day on another way to think about this is it's both and thinking. So this is a pretty horrible and unpredictable time, and we're learning and adapting in incredible ways. So the both and statements really, I think, helps frame it in our head, which helps us move forward.
Great, thank you, Lynn. David, even before the pandemic, EVSC was very proactive about helping students, teachers, and staff to become more resilient. So briefly describe this work for the audience.
Sure. Well, we know that resilience is so vital in developing our cognitive skills. And, you know, it wasn't long into my current position that I became really frustrated with the high stakes testing that was being thought of as the outcome, the only outcome really that mattered. And we, meaning Indiana, really, we were labeling kids and schools based solely upon testing. And as we know, testing is an easy outcome to measure, but it is far from the best indicator to measure a student's current and future success. It just frankly is just the easiest. So because of this, it really seemed that education had lost its way. We had really stopped educating the whole child. And I also know that EVSC was no different than most of society. We were really good at addressing symptoms, but I think we have to be more cognizant on addressing root cause if you're going to make those lasting improvements. So beginning about in 2014, we've been on a quest to educate the whole child. And in order to do that, you have to develop the whole teacher. And that begins with creating conditions for learning. So we really started helping our adults learn to take care of themselves, and our administrators also in creating positive work environments. Then the staff is capable of developing resilience and self-efficacy in our students. So it really has to go in that order. I know that a lot of people want to jump in and fix things, but you have to go to the root cause. So we knew we had to go slow to get it right. And there's a great deal that goes into giving people those coping skills. So through a great deal of research, we developed our GAIN initiative, which is growth in academics through innovation and neuroeducation. And we actually have studied how the brain develops, and we've incorporated that understanding into our practice. So we know you cannot improve cognitive abilities of students without first attending to the conditions that impact their biological and then therefore their physiological growth. And so what I mean by that is that we know unhealthy stress loads create chemical reactions in the brain that limit the healthy physiological growth of the brain. So resilience plays such a vital role in that development, and we know that we just have to be very intentional about giving opportunities to students to develop and then to practice that skill set.
Good. And just what kind of results have you seen with this new focus since 2014? What are some of the promising indicators?
I think there are several. First of all, you know, there's a growing acceptance and understanding of our teachers about the importance of resilience and executive functioning skills and educating the whole child. And it's, I think, also changing the conversation in the homes of our younger students as we have begun to incorporate these practices with our younger kiddos. And I've also heard numerous examples of our teachers using the strategies at home with their own kids. So I think that's really encouraging. But maybe the easiest example for the public to see is the teacher-created content that is now being broadcast on WNIN. They were phenomenal partners when we had to close our schools, the brick and mortar schools, and now they're still broadcasting 2 hours a day from 9 to 11, the teacher-created content. And you'll see in the lessons that each lesson begins with exercises that really help our students become calm, alert, and ready to learn, because we know that we simply have to reduce stress loads of kids and help them manage their stress loads both at home and in the classroom.
And particularly in these trying times.
Absolutely.
So Shannon, your business model is built on helping each person on your team succeed. Talk a little bit about what this looks like in normal times.
Okay. Yeah, well, in normal times, we hire students straight out of beauty school, and we put them through additional 10 months of training with one of our educators in the salon. And we also talk about goals, you know, personal goals, you know, if they want to buy a car or buy a house or get an apartment, and then we help them grow their business so they can achieve those goals. So we believe you have to have a personal goal, and that will help you with your professional goal to get it. So we're always talking to them about, you know, where they want to see themselves 5 years from now, where they want to see themselves 10 years from now, and what can we do to coach and mentor them, which we have sessions with them every month to help reach those goals. So it's been a little challenging when we were shut down and furloughed. So we focused a lot on different goals at home, like life skills. I've had a lot of my hairdressers, you know, they're young, they're 22, 23 years old. They don't cook, they've learned to cook. They've learned to do a lot of great stuff, you know, redo their kitchens. They've learned a lot of important skills they didn't think they could do that they can.
So seizing the opportunity in a sense.
Right, right.
So Shannon, again, clients and staff are going to have varied reactions to the reopening, and many will have some level of fear. So what are you doing to help people, both your staff and your clients, feel safe and comfortable as they come back to the salon?
Well, a whole lot of it was, again, communicating with my staff and what they wanted, what would make them feel comfortable. So we listened to them. We put dividers up throughout our salon. So if we can't be 6 foot apart, then there's a wall. Now we put office walls up. Everybody wears masks when they come in. All staff wear them. All customers wear them. We have 50 hand sanitation spots throughout the salon. We clean chairs after every guest sits in a styling chair, after they sit in a shampoo bowl. Sanitation of all of our tools have always been important, but we've taken it up another notch. And just for temperature checks for anybody goes back into our spa, because sometimes they have to take their mask off. So my staff wanted temperatures done, so we do that. You know, and just really being flexible. Some people aren't ready to come back yet, and that's okay. We're there when they're ready.
Yeah, great. And it sounds like you've gotten lots of input all along from staff to make sure that they're part of the solution.
Right, right, yeah. So we have to make them, we always listen to them, you know, listen to their ideas, because that's the way our culture is. You know, we want them to feel comfortable, and not fear coming to work. And so far, everybody's been really good. So we're good.
Good. Lynn, owning or running a business can be a challenge even in the best of times. The pandemic has created additional stress exacerbated by the uncertainty you talked about earlier about the future. Burnout is a risk as people face this new reality. So what can business owners do to build resilience in themselves and their team in this trying time? So what are some tips you would have for businesses?
Yeah, you know, this is going to seem so not high tech, but it's easier to remember because it's not high tech. It's really back to the basic things. The eating, sleeping, things we all heard when we were kids, right? Eating, sleeping, taking good care of ourselves. But if you break those down a little bit, I mean, we were joking earlier about, you know, everyone's baking banana bread and people are at home more, but eating, just that basic thing of remembering that we eat because we need that good nutrition to help fuel us, and we need the best fuel when things are stressful. So remembering to eat, and I think people in charge tend to want to take care of others instead of themselves. So they're so busy they don't remember, you know, we don't remember to eat, or we're just grabbing something. So eating regular meals as much as possible and eating as well as possible. Sleeping. I don't know about all of you, but I know even us mental health types here at my place, several of us had a lot of trouble the first few weeks because there were just so many stressors trying to get some sleep. But trying to do everything you can to get at least 6-7 hours of sleep per night. Napping is proven to be a really good thing. We used to think that was bad. I'm not a middle of the day napper, but if people are able to do that, a 20-minute nap is absolutely proven through research to be a really good thing to help people kind of restore. Taking a few deep breaths anytime you're really stressed. It's what they are teaching. It's what David and team are teaching kids in school, and that's for a reason. So when you take some deep breaths, and it can be just a slowing down, but your team also sees you doing that, or your kids at home or whoever, it really helps. Also, it's just restorative. Physiologically, it helps us reset and gets that good stuff going for us. Being outside, just being positive, trying to laugh, surrounding yourself with people, making sure you have contact with people that can help us all lighten up, finding fun things you can do at work. We played cornhole one day out in the parking lot. People driving by thought we were kind of crazy. We were very far apart and we all had to sanitize our hands before we got the bags, but being outside and doing something that was recreational and fun with our staff, it's sharing a lighter moment with each other. And all of those things, they are simple, but they make a huge difference in your ability to fight the stress and to move forward in positive ways and keep that resilience or build that resilience.
Great, thank you. And David, some business owners have recently had to assume some extra duties, including, to Lynn's point, chef, or I think that was Shannon, chef, teacher, recreation leader. What resources are available to help them navigate these waters this summer? So as they're trying to fill in lots of extra gaps, what are some resources they can access?
Yeah, sorry, Corrine, or if you could put the slides up, I'll go through these quickly. We're, I think, very blessed that we do have a lot of resources. We've been meeting now for 3 years with mental health providers in our region, and the group now has a name. Hopefully the slides will come up here, and there we go. It's the Mental Health Collaborative for Greater Evansville, and it's made up of a lot of different entities. Maybe you could back the slides up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And then just advance the next one. You'll see who makes up this group. And then on the next slide, one of the committees, and actually the most active committee for the Mental Health Collaborative for Greater Evansville is Resilient Evansville. So you can look on Facebook, you can do a Google search, look at the Resilient Evansville website, but they will have resources there. And then on the next slide, you will see that they've really been responsible for bringing Dr. Ken Ginsberg to Evansville. He's been here 3 times. We'll be back in Evansville, I believe, probably in the February timeframe. So good Lord willing. So I would certainly mark your calendars because it will be publicized. Follow Resilient Evansville's website and follow them on Facebook, and they will put announcements of when he's back. But he's a phenomenal individual and clearly is the national leader in terms of building resilience. And then on the next slide, you'll see quickly the 4 objectives that Resilient Evansville has established to equip individuals with knowledge and tools. Number 2, to equip trainers. Number 3, to equip adults. And then number 4, to really share the awareness and knowledge and language to promote resiliency. And then on the next slide, you'll see their goals. And I think these are goals that resonate with everybody, hopefully on the call. Build a stronger, more resilient community, support parents to balance the art of science and parenting, as well as business owners, and then provide that curriculum for youth, and then also provide adults with the tools. So great goals, and doing great work to achieve those goals. And then the final slide, if you have parents that are dealing with kiddos, I would strongly encourage you to provide this link to parents, because it is a phenomenal communication. Comes out Thursday morning around 7:30. But parenting in 100 words or less, but it's just a phenomenal resource. So I think those are just a few resources that are accessible by everybody and provide great tools and information.
Great, thank you, David. And the other thing that the material might be very helpful for is if people on the call don't have children at home, but have employees who have children at home. So Absolutely. Those are phenomenal resources. Yeah, thank you. Shannon, I think you touched on this a little bit before, but some employees are going to have concerns about returning, either because they have children at home without their usual childcare, they have elderly parents, family members with risk factors. What do you have in place to address these kinds of concerns?
Well, again, it's listening and being empathetic with them and being flexible with their schedules. So we're luckily full-time at our salon is 32 hours and we're open like 70. So we can be really flexible when they can come to work. So if they need to work 12-hour shift, they can do that. If they need to work a 6-hour shift, they can do that. Whatever we can do, if they need to work nights or need to work mornings, whatever, we will work it out to where we'll take care of them. Our team is the most important person that walks in our door. So to me, that's who I take care of. And then they'll take care of our customers. I'll take care of them.
Great, thank you. So this is our first lightning round, and just a quick answer to this question. You've each had to completely adapt your business model in the face of the pandemic. So what are some key learnings you've had that might be useful to the audience? Shannon, I'm going to let you go first on this. So some key learnings.
The key learnings, having a good culture is number one, so you can keep the team together. And like I said, being empathetic and really listening. My listening skills have gotten so much better. So, and being flexible. Like I said, we've been flexible with our cancellation policy for our guests, because if they're sick, I don't want them coming in. And we're really flexible with our staff. If they're ill, we don't want them to come in. That's okay. You know, nobody's going to get rolled up if they need to stay home for 3 days. I know that's okay. So, and that's it. That's just said, just being flexible and really listening, and you know, just having a great culture. So
great, thank you. Lynn, 3 learnings from the pandemic.
Oh gosh, well, one is for us, we are obviously, with being a counseling agency and those that help kids and families in our community, we are all about connections and being one-on-one with people and being in groups of people, being face-to-face. We switched to telehealth in like a day without the technology to be able to even do that. So one key learning for me, flexibility always, but also just I never knew how important it was going to be to have the key consulting kind of helpers that normally I might not reach out and ask for help, but I was like, oh my gosh, we need to be able to do this in a day. And we have to shift our entire model of practice in a day. So I'm going to really just give you that one real strong one, along with the flexibility that Shannon mentioned, which is keeping like all the people, even everybody who's on this webinar moment today, knowing that we can all reach out to each other. And I love that about the Evansville culture, that you can really call anybody for anything and people will either help you or connect you. And boy, did we need it.
Good. And David, 3 key learnings.
I think for me, it was balancing that sense of urgency that everybody had with understanding that with big tasks, you tackle them incrementally, just one step at a time. I think that was really important to continue to stress to our folks. And then the biggest, I think, is just staying true to your core values. It's never a time to stray from your core values, but when there are things that rock you, you know, like this, you have to be so attentive and staying true to that true north to your core values. And then finally, communicate, communicate, and communicate.
Great. Lynn, there have been almost 115,000 coronavirus deaths in the United States. And beyond the virus, the pandemic has caused several very significant problems for many people: financial challenges from loss of job or business, relationship challenges from either too much or too little time with family and friends. Mm-hmm. There are current estimates that suggest the pandemic could also cause as many as 75,000 to 100,000 deaths of despair rooted in the situation. So tell us about what a death of despair is and what business owners can do, or if they themselves or others that they know just don't seem to be able to bounce back from that trauma of the pandemic.
Yeah, you know, calling it deaths from despair, calling it people taking their own life, people who just can't cope with this much uncertainty and facing as well that list of things that you just mentioned. You know, the thing is, we don't really know, and sometimes the individual doesn't even know how close to an edge they are. You know, if you're coping and you're kind of hanging on, a lot of people were at an emotional cliff before any of this started. So when we think about how all of us that feel like we're pretty okay most of the time, how it's rocked us, then you think someone who has multiple factors that are affecting them, their workplace, their families, and their situation, all the things that they're facing, it's just too much for people. And so there, you know, it has already been seen, it's already surfaced. It's hard to put actual numbers to what's different in the number of people taking their own life now versus before. But it's a huge risk for people that are either on that emotional cliff already, and or people that have much responsibility and feel great responsibility for others, because it just ups the ante of the stress. So what I think the thing that makes the biggest difference is connection. Again, it's very basic and very simple, but that feeling of being connected to others in a meaningful way, whether it's at your workplace, with your family, with your neighbors. There are so many people who are isolated. Many business owners feel very isolated emotionally, if not physically, and in contact with people. So what we can do about it the most, I mean, there are many resources. So I think knowing about resources for yourself and for your team, and getting those resources out, really encouraging people that these are very stressful times. It's normal to feel kind of bad, helping them resource and do things to take care of themselves, feeling free to refer people on for more help if they need it. But connection is the biggest thing. So reach out to people and encourage all your employees. Reach out to people that might not have great contact with others right now. Reach out to people that may look okay, but you can just tell they're really stressed and don't seem to be feeling a resilience from them. So connection is really the key and makes the biggest difference. We need emotional connection with one another.
Great. And then final lightning round question. One of my favorite leadership gurus, Warren Bennis, says you're no good to anybody dead, which is his way of saying we need to take care of ourselves as leaders. So what's one thing you do to take care of yourself and to increase your own resilience? David, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I'm going to go with 3, but quickly. Rely on my faith, exercise, you have to invest in yourself, and then I really think that you need to spend time on something that you're passionate about or that you can find joy in that is outside of your work.
Great list. Shannon?
Gardening is where I put my outlet. When I'm stressed, I can go dig in the dirt, and it's great therapy for me. And then I surround myself with people that are experts in their fields, and I get a lot of strength and knowledge from them.
Great, thank you. Lynn?
I love hanging out with friends and family. I love good food. I love to sit on my patio. We were talking about what lovely weather we're having. Being outside is very grounding and just such a good thing. And surrounding myself with just good people.
Great. And just to honor everybody's time, I'm going to wrap it up there and just really thank you all for fabulous information and great tips. And Kim, let me turn it back to you because I know you have some additional information about resources that are available after the call.
Great, Kathy, and I'll echo your thanks to the panel. This is not an easy subject to talk about. So I appreciate you being candid, and I recognize we've just kind of scratched the surface here really with some of the conversation. So we are interested, if you want to go deeper into this, we're happy to bring groups together to talk more deeply about this topic. It is an important topic, and I think has become much more important, especially in, as I mentioned earlier, with the events in the past several weeks where we feel isolated, many of us. And one of the things, in addition to, as I mentioned in the opening, that our advisors are ready and anxious to do is make those kinds of connections that Lynn mentioned in her comments. We don't have the answers to everything. We don't know. You know, most people come to us for technical assistance, and we're happy to provide that. But knowing about things like the mental health collaborative in Evansville is great. We're happy to get that information out to you as well. We'll put these slides on our website so that you can access those, but if you'd like us to send them directly to you, or if you'd like to be involved, we have Rachel, hers contact information up here. Rachel is our partner at the Chamber and is helping us organize follow-up groups. So thank you all so much for being a part of this, and look for our next event, which will be coming in July, and it's how to think like a remote worker. So we're trying to cover all different topics, all different subjects. If you have a subject or a topic you'd like for us to explore, please let me know or let Rachel know. So thank you again. I hope everybody has a great day. And back to David's comments of become alert and come in ready to learn. So thank you all.